For these reasons, stray domestic animals can pose a danger.
We don't play well with others.
It was a lot of yahs and ha's and ha.
Yeah.
Like, nah, I've got fancy McDonald's.
End of September, so 29th and 30th of September, the first ever Fractured Visions Film Festival. So 2 days of a mix of new genre stuff and classic genre stuff. He's told me a couple, but I've been sworn to secrecy. Featuring some amazing judges and Jim and myself.
Yeah.
Co-put together by Professor Mikel Koven, who I had the pleasure of being tutored by way back when I was a lot younger and incapable of growing facial hair. These guys know what they're doing, so really looking forward to kind of seeing, what they pull together for this 2-day fest.
Yeah,
and also something for everybody in the South Wales area to support. I mean, I can't go on about this enough. If we don't support these events, stuff that like Ben's putting together with Snowcat Cinema, Phil's putting together with Fractured Visions, Tom Betts is putting together at Chapter Movie Maker and at Darkened Rooms. As filmmakers, go to these things. If nothing else, even if you didn't love the film, there'll be a lot of like-minded people at these events.
Yeah.
It's good for have a pint, bit of networking if you're that way inclined. I mean,
Pint of chat.
I'm fucking awful at networking.
Jim wears a specific blazer to schmooze. It's white, and he rolls his sleeves up.
I'm fairly sure I'll be wearing a black t-shirt.
Glides over.
I don't have a lot. No.
How you doing?
I'm Mikel Koven. I am on the selection committee for Fractured Visions. In comparison with the other horror festivals across the UK, some of which are excellent and some of which are overrated, is that it is not strictly commercial, and it's not quite as niche-y or cliquey as, say, some of the other festivals are. Its remit of contemporaneity is very important when we've met and sort of start to rule out, okay, get rid of that film, get rid of that film, get rid of that film. Sometimes it's, oh yeah, that film was great, we really, really liked it. Oh, it was actually produced just outside of our remit, and so we have to discount, no matter how good a film it was. Some horror festivals can be fairly loose and open with what constitutes horror for them. But a lot of our discussions are, I don't see this as horror. We've had a couple of really interesting gangster films, for example, some of which were particularly violent and, could potentially thrill a horror movie audience, but they're not horror films. I remember one short film. It was a beautifully made meditation on death. It was an absolutely exquisitely made film. Its connection to horror was vaguely about death. We can't program that. I'm not entirely sure our audience would have grooved to it either, but we could not fault its technical achievement. A very beautiful film, but not horror. The best bit about being involved in a film festival are the films, without a doubt. It's about being a bit of a hipster douchebag and saying, hey, I saw that first. In particular, one feature film, and again, I'm going to word it carefully, which of the other judges, I seem to be the only one who really loved this particular film, and I really loved this particular film. But it started me off on a particular research path that I'm going to follow up, and I'm hopefully going to be able to contact the filmmaker and be able to talk about a completely different project. I guess that's my privileged position as being on the selection committee, because if I lose that battle about including the film, I still have seen it. The worst bit of being involved in a film festival, particularly on the selection committee, there are lots of really worst bits, as it were, and yet I wouldn't change a single one of them. The most obvious worst bit is the sheer number of films that we have to watch. I don't think none of us are doing this as a full-time job. We all have full-time jobs, and just trying to find the time. Last count, it's got to be 120 films have been submitted. The obvious worst bit is when you come across a film, dude, you and your buddies in your back garden with the iPhone, fuck off. or yeah, dropping a whole lot of acid and making a horror film, I might want to rethink that. Really worst part for me, and I want to phrase this carefully for accuracy purposes, not just for being politically correct. And again, as I said, all the worst parts I wouldn't change at all. The frustration with my fellow selection committee members, not because, oh, I like this movie and you didn't, differences of opinion, but an emphasis on what I like, not what will play well for the festival. The festival has to come first. That's what we're doing this for. Like I said, this is all on Vimeo. Hopefully they won't take down the link. So, if you really like film X and it's not programmed, well, there you got the link. We've got the password, knock yourself out. In a world of digital access, of Vimeo, of YouTube, of other streaming services, film festivals are still absolutely essential, particularly for short films, for features as well. And that is concentrated exposure. My students, my kids have no problem, particularly my 10-year-old daughter, of spending hours watching endless YouTube videos. Maybe it's a generational thing. It probably is a generational thing. And I cannot do that. If I go to YouTube, if there's something I'm looking for, oh, there it is, and I watch that. Is an opportunity to be exposed to stuff you didn't even know existed, And if the right algorithm or if the wrong algorithm is there on YouTube, it may not suggest to you these other great films that you would also like because of reasons. So if you're only basing that experience, on that, and it's the same series of channels that your friends are watching, that feedback loop becomes very, very small. Film festivals are a way of expanding that feedback loop. The other aspect is that film festivals are communal, and there's a big difference between watching a film with, 100 other people enjoying it together and watching it on your own and Snapchatting your response. There is something masturbatory about watching these films on your own, in your room, or on your phone or your iPad or whatever. Film, even short films, need the communal experience. And that's what film festivals give us.
Like, subscribe, comment.
Comment.
It doesn't even matter anymore. Does it?
We're going to keep doing it regardless.
just, let us know that we're not totally alone.